Um, I've spoken mostly at tech conferences, and there's a big lack in tech conferences around talking about, I guess you'd call them soft talks, leadership, management, developing people, that sort of thing. And so I always end up giving highly technical Ruby talks, and they're getting kind of boring. So, and I've got things to say about this topic, and I asked a buddy of mine. I was like, I need to find a good support conference. Those things exist, and he was like, this one. So I'm super glad I was able to make it. Thank you for having me. We're going to talk today about building healthy teams. To start with that, though, we're going to talk about crappy teams. So answer me this: have you ever worked on a crappy team? Raise your hand. Yeah, woo! If you're on a crappy team now, there's a whole lot of people that just offered you a job. So, and if you're on a crappy team and you're sitting next to your boss, put your hand down. I'm going to talk about a crappy team. It's not you guys. If you're watching this in video, and I'm going to talk about an old company, it's not about you. You were the best person at the company. There's everybody else that sucked. And you were awesome. Okay. Yeah, my name's John McCarty. I'm the senior manager of, what is it now? Technical support. I work at Heroku, which is owned by Salesforce. Let's tell you a good story about a crappy team. Out of college, I worked at Qualcomm for a while. This is not about them. But my boss left to join a startup. I had just bought an outrageously priced home as part of the 2006-07 housing bubble. So, I mean, of course, if you join a startup, you're going to have this huge payday, right? It always happens if you just wait around. You make millions of dollars, so I could afford that house. So I moved to San Francisco with my wife and new baby, and it was pretty good. Things were really good. We were a small team. We were growing fast. We were like the only company in the space, and things were really great. Well, we raised a couple rounds. The team grew really fast, and the team grew, but at the same time, there wasn't a whole lot of intentionality around growing the team in a healthy manner. It was just get people in the door, give them a desk, make them write code, and we'll figure it out from there. To give you an example of when it turned crappy, let me just kind of walk you through a day in the life. So first of all, we were a startup, so you have to work how many hours, 60, 80, whatever it is. No, it doesn't even matter if you're doing anything. Even if it's solitary, you have to be at your desk, right? So you get in at 8:30 on the dot. If you were late, you would make sure to go by the CEO's office, because he was right by the door, of course, and let him know why you were late. If you were late, you would also end up with no coffee, so that sucked. You would go sit in an open office and not talk to anybody. You would just chat across the room. You didn't want to actually make eye contact. But the key moment during your day was 11:45, because your stomach would start to grumble, and you would look around the room and you would wonder, is there anybody in this room that I actually want to eat lunch with? The answer was no. And so this is what you had to do. You just stand up from your desk. The trick was you don't put on your coat, okay? Because people know that you're headed to lunch. So what you do, so you stand up, you yawn, you really want to sell it a little bit, okay? And you walk slowly towards the front door. Now, if you're lucky, you can get out unnoticed. If you're unlucky, someone will go, "Are you going to lunch?" Oh no. So no, the answer is no, I'm going to the bathroom. It's right by the front door. It worked out great. But if you're caught in this lie, you now have to actually go into the bathroom, stand there, fake flush the toilet, stare in the mirror, wonder how you ended up here, and then sneak out and go to the elevator, find a spot on Market Street to have lunch, and then just wait until your lunch break was up before going back, because you didn't want to go back early. This freaking sucked. And it was probably the reason I only lasted in San Francisco for a year. But what I'm finding is that this is kind of a common story. Maybe not this, but there's this. We talked earlier about what was the Gallup number? About 50%. Okay. I have another Gallup number. 32% say they're disengaged at work, which is kind of shocking to me. And not only does this have an effect on your personhood, on your life, on the people around you, it actually also has a big impact on the business. The estimate is 450 million to 550 million, billion, it's a different number, lost money U.S.-wide based off of missed days of work, stolen goods, people just doing a crappy job because they don't like where they're at. And I think that in general, we end up in these places, or we sadly sometimes lead these teams, and we do a crappy job because we've never really taught how to do this. I was put in a management position and just said, like, here's your team, go. And I was an IC for 15 years. It's like, okay, you're doing a good job, and you're doing a good job, and what am I supposed to do here? So there are a ton of books on these topics, and trying to boil this down to 15 minutes is awful, and it's super hard. So I'm going to try and give you 3 things that I found really helpful on my teams, and hopefully they'll be helpful for yours. This is kind of more geared towards management, but you're going to see a lot of these that, at the peer level, this is really, really important stuff, even if you're not in a management role. So let's start here. We're going to clarify the why. I have a quote. That's right, it's another slide. Yes. A clear, common, compelling task that is important to the individual team members is the single biggest factor in team success. If you've worked on a crappy team, more than likely you didn't have a single compelling, common task. Or you did, and it was a common task, but it wasn't compelling. It was sell a bunch of ads, or revenue that you don't benefit from. Nothing really that exciting, right? And so what I would challenge you to do is start with, is before you go off and do a team offsite and lay out your mission statement as a team, this is a question you have to answer for yourself. And it's not that hard to get to. I would challenge you to take some time, find a quiet place, and figure out why it is you're doing what you're doing. What do you get up for in the morning? It's easy, okay, I get a paycheck. Okay, that's good. But there's probably a reason that you came to this company and this team, and it's probably something that aligns somewhere down the road with your values as a person. It's that idea that you can then take to your team and have them rally around. So let me tell you about mine. And I had to do this myself because my boss challenged me to do this, and it really, really, really helped me. So I work at Heroku. We're a platform as a service. We host about 6 million apps, doing about 13 billion requests a day. I've been a developer for about 20 years. I was a Heroku customer for about 6 years before I joined. All of our customers, for the most part, are engineers. So I'm an engineer, my customer's an engineer, and I love helping people. I realized the reason I love being on this team, not just that I love helping people, but I love helping fellow developers. I love helping them get unstuck, because when they open a ticket, they're stuck. More than likely, it's their fault, which is a really tricky customer support thing to do, as you all know, is to gently say, yeah, you're bad. But I love getting in that where they're stuck at work and they're having a hard time, and I can hop in there and get them unstuck. That's something that gives me value and gets me out of bed in the morning. I had a great conversation with Ben from Median last night about his Heroku app, and this is like case in point. Like I don't get a commission on this if I keep Ben at Heroku or not. But it was like, oh my gosh, he was like, oh, we're having a hard time with this thing. And I was like, oh, let me help you with that, right? Like that's what I get super excited about. I get. Where's Mark? Where's Darcy? I get giddy about it. And so that's something that I know that is beneficial to the team and something my team can rally around. So that's something that I will repeat to my team. And what we will do as a team and also is not only here's my vision for the team, and here's something that I want to push forward as the manager. But each and every person on my team has either a similar, either the exact same value and vision, or something really similar, and it's my job to pull that out of people and figure it out what it is that they're excited about this role, and then to repeat that over and over and over again. Because focus drips. And so the more that I can help repeat that and instill that with people, the better a team and the healthier team we're going to become. Number 2, which is what Darcy stole from me. Darcy talked about this, so I want to try and take it from a different angle. We're going to talk about finding and developing individual strengths of a team. So let's start with another story. Anyone watch the movie Rudy?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. So Rudy lived in, was it South Bend? Is that where Notre Dame is?
Yep.
Okay, well, it was in South Bend, so I figured I'd bring that back in. So he grew up near Notre Dame in Indiana somewhere, and he wanted to play Notre Dame football. Got into college there, didn't get to make the team. Worked, the whole movie's about him working his butt off to get on the team. He was like the water boy and all that stuff. Finally, the last game of the season, senior year, the whole crowd starts chanting, Rudy, Rudy, right? It's the part where you start crying. And they send him out on the field. He plays like 2 plays. They put him on their shoulders and they march him out. We're a sucker for these kind of stories. They're so great, the underdog story. The problem is, Rudy really sucked at football. It was really bad. And like, I hate to be that guy that ruins the story. But no one at any point in Rudy's life came along and said, you should, I know that you love this, but maybe like be a color commentator or like a reporter, but like the game of football is not really your thing. Like, he wasted a lot of time and energy trying to be a great football player, and it wasn't his thing. Instead, what would have been really great is someone came alongside him and said, you know what you are really great at? Or let's figure out what you are good at. Because if you look at it like, let's take some natural strengths and talents of yours and put the same amount of effort into developing that thing and see what your return on investment is, okay? If you're like on a 1 to 10, you're a 10 at this thing, and I put in 10 units of effort, I'm gonna get back 100. Math from stage is always scary. If I'm a 2 at this thing, I kind of suck at it, but I think I'm awesome, and I put the same 10 units of work into it, I'm gonna get back 20. Okay, so if I can put the same amount of effort into something, now the college thing and the life thing is I'm gonna be a well-rounded person. The things I suck at, I'm gonna shore up, and I'm gonna get really good and really well balanced. But I don't want to avoid areas in your life that you suck at. Like, you should kind of balance it out a little bit. But if you're going to really invest time, if you're going to spend those 4 hours on Friday getting better at something, do it on something that you're really, really good at. And as a manager, it's my role to figure out what those things are, or at least to help you discover those things. So during one-on-ones, it's a conversation around that task that you had last week or that ticket that you were on. You seem to really, really enjoy that. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, what about it was interesting to you? Oh, it was this thing that I'd never seen before. Da, da, da. Okay, well, tell me more about yada yada yada. Or I gave you this task last week and you finished it in half the time as I expected. Was that really easy for you? Oh yeah, it was a piece of cake. Why was that a piece of cake? Because it would have taken me twice as long. Tell me more about that, right? These are those things that you can key in on, but you have to ask those questions. You have to be able to start pulling, because most people won't just naturally come up with these things. But if you're being perceptive with your team and you're asking the right questions, you're going to pull out what those things are. And now all of a sudden you have growth opportunities. You have these things that you can take to them and say, this is something you're really good at. And man, I want to encourage you to go learn that or to get better at that. Retention on my team is actually not a metric. It's really weird as a manager. I would much rather train you and develop you and you end up leaving than to not do that and to force you into this little box and you just become stagnant and work with this team forever, but you just never grow or get better. The best day in my life is when I grow somebody and they go on to a different team at Heroku, so it's not technically retention. But to see someone grow over the course of 2, 3, 4 years is far more valuable for you and for the team than trying to force them into this box and just hope that they figure it out. So as a leader, even as a peer, work with your teammates, work with your directs, figure out what it is that they're really good at, and encourage them to get better at it. All right, last thing, and I'll wrap up. Create a high feedback culture. Notice I said create, don't expect, create. Let me tell you about a different job. It was a good job. Last job, 2 jobs ago? I was sitting in my office and the CEO walks in, and an open office, which makes this even more terrifying. He goes, I'd like to see you in my office. And he's just, oh, crap. And he had like the really nice office and like the upstairs in the corner with the big view. And so you slowly, I didn't know if I should walk behind him or next to him. It was really kind of scary. And so I got to his office and there was, he has this big conference table in his office. And there's multiple people from different parts of the organization, different levels, different teams. They're all around this conference table. And I'm wondering what I did, who I pissed off, what did I just tweet last week that I'm now in trouble for? And it wasn't anything like that. He sits down and he says, I've got this presentation, this big conference, and I want to run through with all of you, and I want all of your feedback. Right, sure. I already know. It's like, that was great, boss. Good job, boss, right? But no, all the people at the table had done this before, so they actually kind of helped me out. He starts walking through this presentation, and they are actually giving him legitimate feedback. That sucks. This is good. You should improve on this. What about this? Giving him suggestions. And so I kind of like chimed in. I was still pretty timid. But it was amazing to see the CEO of the company not only asking for feedback, but taking it really well. Like, he was taking notes, he was nodding his head. It was really exciting to see. And we talked a lot about that company, about this, we should all encourage and accept feedback. And you kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, right? I don't want to rock the boat. But the CEO's doing it. So I think that in order to get good feedback, you as a leader, or again, you as a direct, as an IC, like, if you want to grow, you need to get good feedback. That requires that you take it well, you're not defensive, and sometimes even you need to go out of your way to request that feedback. I just had a guy start on my team named Joe. He's from Chicago. He really surprised me. About a month in, he pulled me aside and he goes, how am I doing? And I was like, oh, you're doing fine. And I said, you're learning a lot, you're right in the right place, and he goes, have you looked at some of my past comments on some of my tickets this month? I really want to get some feedback on that. And I realized, like, I have this freaking slide in my talk, and I'm not doing a good job of giving proactive feedback. But to see him in that position saying, I want that feedback, I need to learn, I need to grow, I need to get better at this. That's a key function in this. Full stop. Part 3B, real quick. Let me just I gotta get this off my chest. Feedback, okay? We're really good. There's all kinds of books on negative feedback, critical feedback. It's really, really hard. It's a learned skill. I don't want to talk about it right now. I'll talk about it later. But we really suck at positive feedback. This isn't in my notes. I'm just going to go with this. It's the easiest thing to do, but we so rarely do it. We don't, if you see something good on your team, it's like the Homeland Security thing, like see something, say something, okay? If somebody does something good on your team, if it's just a good response on a ticket, if somebody jumps into Slack and goes, I need some help, and somebody on your team hops in and goes, I can do that. Hey, thank you, great job. That's awesome, you're a good team member. Okay, this is like level 1 of just like provide good, positive feedback. When it's a concept of, if you want something repeated, you encourage it, okay? That's stage 1. Stage 2 is take your positive feedback beyond this work effort is acceptable, okay? We are really good at praising people and telling them how great they are and how they've impacted our lives and all those things when they leave the company or at their funeral, okay? 2 times that this feedback is not helpful, okay? So listen to the difference here. You did a really good job on that ticket. Okay, this is going to be the majority of your positive feedback. Now listen to the other one, which shouldn't be all the time. It's a little gushing. But every once in a while, hey, you do really great work on this team, and I'm really grateful that I get to work alongside you. Do you hear the difference? Do you understand what that does to a person's soul? Okay, you are not the sum. You are not just a worker. You are a person. The people that you work with are people. And so the difference in saying you do good work, worker, factory line person, and you are a great person and I'm honored to work with you, that's huge, okay? 92% of people that say that they're valued at work do their best work. That's what the survey said, and I have it in my notes where it's from. If you believe that, and if you understand that, if somebody came up to you and said, man, I'm so glad I get to work with you, that's going to make your day. So why don't we do that more often and challenge people with that? Last thing. This is the conclusion, not another point. As a leader, Henry Cloud says, you're always going to get a combination of 2 things, what you create and what you allow. This talk is about what you create. The what you allow part is a whole other talk. It's called sanctioned incompetence. It's a good talk. What you create is the intentionality part of this team building, okay? You cannot create a team, set it in motion, and just hope it works. Okay, that was the story of the first crappy team I was on. It was just fly, be free, and you'll be fine. You as a manager, you as a team member, you have an opportunity to either make this a crappy team that you're on by doing nothing, or invest in people and make it a good team. As a manager, you've been given a very short time frame in someone's life, and it can either be a bullet on your resume, or it can be the happiest and most life-giving time in that person's life. Choose to invest in the people around you. Thank you.